Yes. And namaste, everyone. Christian Long, Life Enhancement Consulting, giving you a big and beautiful shout out on this Transformation Q&A Thursday. Before we begin, let us invoke. Place your hands on your heart. Be aware of your heart. Be aware of your crown. Be aware of your heart and your crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui, Lord Mahaguru Jmeling, to Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, to Lord Ganesh, to Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to Saraswati, the goddess of wisdom and intelligence, to all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, to the angels of communication, angels of Wi-Fi, to our divine selves, our higher souls, we humbly invoke for your divine light, love, and power, for your divine help, guidance, and protection, for inner and outer healing on all levels. We thank you, Lord God. We thank you all with gratitude, respect, and love. So be it, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, welcome everyone to the Transformation Q&A Thursday. Always beautiful and privileged to have your beautiful faces on here. And man, oh man, number one, I'm here in Sedona. I'm at the Sedona Public Library. And the past, I don't know, week, it's been over 100 degrees every single day. I think the peak was 109 that we hit, I think 3 days ago. And it was like 106 today. And you're like, Christian, why are you wearing a long sleeve shirt when it's 106 degrees out? What is your problem? I don't know. It doesn't feel like it's 106 degrees, but it is hot, and I'm not directly in the sun. And then you're in the AC units, and then it's cold, and it's just all over the place. So I am doing my very, very best to crack the code on the Wi-Fi within this whole area. Wi-Fi has just been completely and utterly squirrely since I've got here. I've been here for 2 weeks, and it's been different and inconsistent every single day, no matter where I've been. In my little room, in the main house, in town, wherever I've been, the internet's been squirrely, the Wi-Fi's been squirrely, and I've been learning a lot of esoteric teachings around Wi-Fi, communication, telecommunication, vortexes, and how they influence each other. So just like people connect to us and cord to us all day long, and we have to cut the cords, cut, so the energy can flow smoothly again. Same thing with the Wi-Fi. So I'm doing my best, and I may at some point have to just film a bunch of Q&As and Sunday meditations all in one or 2 days, and then just upload them accordingly, because it's been extremely difficult doing the 2 healing projects I'm working on, healing clients, and then doing the filming all with the Wi-Fi, which is basically all dependent upon Wi-Fi, right? Because that's how people do coaching with me. That's how we see each other. It's how I do my trainings. It's how I upload the videos to the Inner Transformation membership site. So Wi-Fi is extremely, extremely important. And it seems like there's only certain places in town at certain times of the day that I can have access to it. So we'll do our very best. And it's only another 6 weeks. And I think the other 3 places that I'll be going to will be completely fine with Wi-Fi. I've been doing my research. It's just Sedona, who knew? Vortexes, UFOs, aliens, and bizarre Wi-Fi. Strange, right? So let's get into it. Hopefully they allow us to stay out here and continue filming. I'm not in the library. I'm in the little patio of the library. So it shouldn't be a big deal. But if not, we just mosey on down to the truck and we'll be good to go. So the first question, oops, and let me pop up. There we go. If you guys ask any questions, I'll see it right there. Okay, so the first question is, does each of the 8 Pranic Healing Masters represent a chakra or quality of a chakra? I think that's a brilliant, very high level and very deep question. And my simple answer is, I don't know. I don't know. So within Pranic Healing or Arhatic Yoga, we have 8 Pranic Healing Masters. If I'm not mistaken, there were 13 original Pranic Healing Masters. When Grandmaster Choa Kok Sui was in the body, there were 13 masters, and some of them fell off, some of them left the body, but most of them are still spreading the teachings in their given locations around the world. So the question is, well, we have in Pranic Healing, we work with what? The 11 major chakras, right? The 11 major chakras. But certain books talk about 12 chakras. Lord Jesus had how many disciples? 12 disciples. Is there a correlation? Yes. Is there a correlation between master and the master pranic healers? I don't necessarily know. Do each of the masters represent a certain chakra? I don't think so. I do know that the masters balance out energies and complement one another. So for instance, Master Ko for the longest time was known as the either basic or Ajna chakra of Pranic Healing and Arhatic Yoga, because he was very good at pushing, like using a lot of will, right? Because he's a Ray 1 person. As you guys remember from previous recordings, Ray 1 is the ray of power and the ray of will. So pioneers are Ray 1 people. CEOs are typically Ray 1 people. So Master Ko was given the assignment to open up the United States in 1988, and that requires will, right? You can't just be sitting around on your butt going, yeah, hopefully someday, somehow the United States will be exposed to Pranic Healing or Arhatic Yoga, right? Beth, I'm a mistake. It was push. But guess what? In the pushing, that also pushes certain people out, right? So over many, many years, Master Ko has been practicing for about 33 years. He is very much developed his heart chakra over the past several years, very, very much. So he went from being very willful, very Ray 1, to being more Ray 2. Now, is that easy for him to practice Ray 2? No. Then you have, say, Master Glenn, who is an embodiment of love. Everyone who hangs out with Master Glenn feels warm and fuzzies whenever they're with him, because it's very easy for him to practice what? Ray 2, love and wisdom. He's very loving, he's very giving, he's very generous, he's very soft. He's not sharp, he's not hard, he doesn't pound teachings into you. Master Ko, because of negative pride, had to have teachings pounded into him by Master Choa. Master Glenn, not so much, right? So Master Glenn, over the course of this past several years, have had developed more will aspect, right? So all the masters, cumulative, coming together, support and nurture pranic healing with the 3 aspects of the soul: light, love, and power, which broken down into the virtues, right? The 5 virtues that we work on in Pranic Healing and Arhatic Yoga. So do each of the masters represent a chakra? I wouldn't think so. But do each of them contribute energy that balances out the energy of the other masters? Absolutely. Right? Because think about it. What if all the masters were Ray 1 people? They're all power, will, push. There wouldn't be a global organization of pranic healing being practiced in over 90 countries around the world, which is the love aspect, right? So, but what if we just had super bhakti devotional people? The work wouldn't move, right? The work wouldn't move. What if you just had Ray 3 people, the ray of active intelligence, super intelligent people, but they had no will to do good? So they have these very high ideals and everything is worked out in a schematic protocol, but there's no implementation and there's no love, right? Love, another way that you show love is through giving money and resources, because money is the fuel that pushes spiritual work into the world. So the most successful spiritual organizations on the planet have what? Lots and lots of money, lots and lots of capital, because it pushes their purpose forward. Think of the Catholic Church, think of certain Hindu organizations, certain great spiritual teachers that have hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in their funds, which allows them to push their purpose forward, right? Which is the purpose of the great ones and the purpose of God ultimately, right? So it's a great question. Do each of the masters represent a chakra? I don't think so. But do they add certain qualities to balance out the whole Pranic Healing or Arhatic Yoga organization? Absolutely. Okay. Next question. If one is deciding to attend an Arhatic Yoga Prep class or Arhatic Yoga Retreat, how should one prepare for either in advance? So within Pranic Healing, in order for you to take Arhatic Yoga, and it's a little bit different in different parts of the world, so we'll just keep it simple where it encompasses everybody. If you want to take Arhatic Yoga Prep, which is Arhatic Yoga preparatory level, you have to take level 1, level 2, level 3 Pranic Healing, and then you take Arhatic Yoga Prep, right? So that qualifies you, it sets the foundation. And why can't people just go into Arhatic Yoga Prep? Because they have to have the will to do good. Grandmaster Choa Kuk Sui wanted people that were of the caliber to love, to heal, to help, to console in the world, not people that, hey, I just want very, very powerful meditation techniques for myself so I can grow and evolve, and I don't want to share them with other people. So that's why he ensured people who are Arhatic Yoga practitioners have to first take healing classes before they take the advanced meditation classes. But the cool thing is, once you take the advanced meditation classes and your aura expands, your chakras expand, and you have all this energy, what are you going to do with it? Aha, you're going to alleviate the suffering of humanity, right? What's the point of having a huge aura if you do nothing with it, right? So, so you have to first take those 3 classes, then you take Arhatic Yoga Prep. What do you do in preparation for Arhatic Yoga Prep? Well, you do your Twin Hearts meditation daily. A lot of people like to scurry and like get everything in before they take a class. It doesn't really work that way. So if you plan on taking Arhatic Yoga Prep in 6 months, you should be consistently doing your Twin Hearts meditation every single day up until the time of taking the class. Also, you should be doing 1 week of fasting, or I'm sorry, 1 day of fasting per week, right? So you pick a day. Tuesday, I'm not going to eat. Sunday, I'm not going to eat. Whatever, I'm not going to eat. And you can do that up until 3 months, from 3 months up until the class, because that's purifying your physical body, and it's also developing the will aspect within you, right? So that's something you can do. Being regular with your exercise practice, very important, because as we exercise, what do? We release disease congested energy and the etheric and the physical, the etheric and the emotional bodies, right? Okay. And then what else can you do? Character building, right? So character building is taught in all the pranic healing classes, even if it's level 1. At the end, Sunday night of level 1, basic pranic healing, you're taught about the virtues, the 5 virtues we do in pranic healing. So practicing the virtues every single day for the rest of your life, but ideally every day for the rest of your life, but also practicing them up until you take your class, because that's going to purify you. What is the purpose of purifying before Arhatic Yoga Prep? You're emptying your cup as much as you can of diseased mental energy, diseased emotional energy, diseased etheric energy, diseased physical energy. So when you go and take the class and you get this initiation and your energy body raises its vibration, all of your energy bodies raise in vibration, you can assimilate the energy better. Meaning, if you took Arhatic Yoga Prep and didn't do anything to prepare for your preparation, as the energy passes through you, it's going to stir up many, many things in your mental body, emotional body, etheric body, and even your physical body. So you might have a tremendous amount of discomfort on one of those levels, right? Also, doing service and tithing. Doing service and tithing before taking the class, which will neutralize any hiccups that could manifest or materialize during the class or after the class, because your energy body is being initiated. It's being upgraded, right? Your soul is being infused with lots and lots and lots and lots of light, right? And what that does is it displaces the darkness, displaces the congestion. And for some people, that's not very comfortable, okay? So that's what I would recommend for Arhatic Yoga Prep. And then Arhatic Yoga Retreats are for people who have already taken Arhatic Yoga Prep. Now, the cool thing is the West Coast and the East Coast typically have 2 days before a retreat, we'll have our Arhatic Yoga Prep. So let's say the retreat is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Tuesday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Thursday, they'll have our Arhatic Yoga Prep. So you're already clean and purified, then you take the class or you take the retreat. So the transition is easier, right? Now, for those who've taken Arhatic Yoga, Kundalini Yoga is going to be your bread and butter preparing for a retreat. So you do your Twin Hearts every day, you do your character building, your service, your tithing, all the things that you were taught in Arhatic Yoga, and then you do extra Kundalini cycles, which obviously I can't get into the details because this is a semi-public forum, right? So whatever you're normally doing, just double it would be a good recommendation. Whatever you're doing for Kundalini, double it. Why? Because it cleans out the channels, which does what? Prepares you to receive more energy without getting all worked up. Okay, so that's why I would recommend. What else can you do before taking Arhatic Yoga Prep or a retreat? Also, going into the retreat with questions, just like we bring questions into this forum, it's the same thing. I typically say about 3 questions that really, if that got answered or clarified in your life, it would take you to the next level. So before you go to Arhatic Yoga Prep or before you go to an Arhatic Yoga Retreat, ask yourself, what are the 3 things I really need to know? Like what's my heart's desire to get clarification, to get understanding in this particular thing so I can move my life forward. And I cannot tell you how many stories I have of having the question and having it usually answered in the inner world at the retreat, and it propelled me to the next level of my development, right? So having 3 questions and also mixing it up with people, right? Mixing up with people, you become part of the community, right? So it's like, okay, I'm going and I'm going to meet 3 new people. I'm going to meet 6 new people. I'm going to meet people that are outside of my circle of influence, because I realized when I went over the years, and I've been to over 50 retreats, that a lot of it was spending time with people I already knew and liked and who already knew and liked me. So it wasn't a lot of diversity. Now, because I've been around so long, I know most of the people that go to most of the events, right? I don't know them like their middle name or the last 4 digits of their social security number, but I know them relatively well, right? So getting to know people in your spiritual family, because we're on this path together for a reason, right? Some of us could find the love of our lives. Some of us could find our worst enemy, right? Find them out, root them out right in the beginning. Go, aha, you're the person who's going to materialize my negative karma. Let's do this, right? I have some funny stories about that. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. It's about cleansing, purifying, cleansing, purifying, cleansing, purifying before you go to prep, before you go to a retreat. So then your cup is super empty, and then the energy comes down, expands your cup, and fills it to the brim. Overflows, actually. Next question. If you use a piece of food as a diversionary psychic target, will you see it start to rot? Absolutely. What's the question to make it a little simpler? So in Psychic Self Defense, which is a class and a book by Master Toa Koksui, that you could take an item, anything, a phone, headphones, other kind of headphones, a water bottle, food, plants, rocks, crystals, and you can program them to absorb energy. Now, things that are easier to program are usually crystals and oils, which have little teeny tiny baby crystals in them, right? They amplify and magnify energy. So it's better to program a crystal, or yeah, it's better to program a crystal than say a piece of food. But give you an interesting story about something food like. So a friend of mine ended up, when I was living in Sarasota, Florida, this is like maybe 14, 15 years ago, when I was married and my son was very young, a friend of ours who I went to school with at MUM, Maharishi University of Management in Fairfield, Iowa, she had been a long-time meditation practitioner since she was 11 years old. She became initiated into TM when she was 11, and she'd been practicing TM religiously. And then she got into pranic healing. Then she got into Arhatic yoga, and she took all the classes, or most of all the classes, right? And an opportunity came up for her to work in Sarasota, but she was looking for a place to stay. We said, hey, we have an extra room. We know you. We love you. You can stay with us. And she ended up staying with us for maybe about nine months or so at the place, at our house in Sarasota, Florida. And in our backyard, one of the big reasons we moved into this house, number one, it was the cheapest house we could find during the bubble that was building. So we bought it just the perfect time. Your basic chakra, by the way, never forget this. Your basic chakra that deals with prosperity, abundance, and success deals with the preservation of the physical body, right? It will lead you to opportunities that will make you prosperous, or lead you to opportunities that will screw you over, right? So if your basic chakra has a lot of disease, congested energies, negative programs, poverty consciousness, lack, scarcity, fear, etc., it will not be able to guide you to the right opportunities. So at that time, this is a long time ago, my wife and I didn't have strong, clean, healthy basic chakras, right? And we lacked discernment, and we had greediness. So what did? We did anything we could to get ourselves into a property, because in our area, you couldn't find anything over, I'm sorry, you couldn't find anything under $200,000, nothing. And we were able to get this property for $177,000. So we're like, we already got, you know, $25,000 in equity as soon as we close on this property. And of course, real estate prices are going to go up and up and up forever. Of course, no brainer, right? The next month, the market crashed because our basic chakras were not clean, healthy, and strong. And we were coming from what? Greed. So lords of karma dished out the energy, dished out the quote unquote punishment. Okay. But in the back of our yard, one of the reasons we bought the house, it was tended by a woman in her 60s who ended up selling us the house and then moving to Honduras to own 2 properties on a coffee field next to a waterfall. Long story. But she kept immaculate care of the front of the property and the back of the property. It had, like, you could say, like an award-winning garden, right? But one of the most noticeable things in the backyard was this giant, and when I say giant, I mean, like, I've never seen anything like it, even to this day, this giant cactus, huge. But it wasn't like those big cactuses. You have a center cactus and then little teeny arms, but it was like a cactus that just like branched out, like dozens and dozens of branches. I've never seen a cactus like that. I don't know what species of cactus it is, but it was huge. It was probably half the size of our house, literally. It was ginormous. So my friend who moves in with us, she's practicing scanning, she's practicing her meditation, she's practicing doing different things, right? And she has an idea. Where we lived, the zip code that we lived in was the, again, lack of discernment, was the lowest socioeconomic zip code in all the area of Sarasota County. So we lived in the ghetto. Our house wasn't the ghetto, but we lived in the ghetto, right? So there's a lot of crime, there's a lot of drugs, there's a lot of negative thoughts, negative emotions, and not so good karma, right? So my friend has an idea. She goes, well, in the Psychic Self Defense book, it talks about programming cactuses. She goes, I have an idea. I go, all right, well, do it or whatever. Because you take a cactus and you put it in your what? Your bathroom. And you program the cactus to disintegrate, to absorb and disintegrate any congested energy within the bathroom or within one of the rooms of your house, right? Makes sense. It's pretty logical. Has the little sharp pointy things. So as the energy goes to the cactus, it becomes disintegrated. So it keeps your place energetically cleaner. So she goes, well, I have an idea. She does the technique and something very, very interesting happens. A week later, I'm looking at this cactus and I go, huh, the cactus doesn't look very good. But I'm not thinking much more about it. You know, I'm just kind of like glancing as I go in the backyard. I'm hanging out with my son. We're doing whatever. And I go, God, the cactus doesn't look as vibrant as it used to. So another week goes by, another week goes by. So we're 3 weeks into it, right? This is a cactus that is easily over 20 years old, easily. It's ginormous, right? Half the size of the house. Almost completely and utterly dead. This giant cactus that was radiating light, had the sharp pointy things, everything like that. I ended up talking to my friends and I go, what's up with the cactus is dead. It's not like unhealthy, it's dead. And I go, what happened? And years later, like maybe 2 years later, it never grew back. It never improved. It died. And so I asked her, I go, you programmed the cactus, right? Like to break up disease, congested energy, like in the bedroom or the bathroom or wherever, right? And she goes, well, not exactly. I said, well, what did you do? And she goes, I programmed the cactus to absorb all the disease, congested, negative energies of the entire neighborhood. Hello, of the entire neighborhood. So this beautiful, bright, vibrant cactus dead within 3 weeks. So can plants absorb energy? Yes. Can food absorb energy? Yes. Can crystals absorb energy? Yes. Can essential oils absorb energy? Yes. It's dependent upon the will of the person programming it. primarily. I wondered about how it would affect the cactus. Yeah, it killed it. That says weird connection in the discussion. Indiana just talked about the 7 rays this morning meditation because we are one. Hello. Hello. Okay, so psychic self-defense has been used for eons of time, literally thousands of years. It's been used with plants, with cactuses, with eggs, because eggs are very good at absorbing congestion. So a shaman would take an egg and would move it in a counterclockwise pattern on the pain, the injury, the ailment, the condition of the person, and then bury the egg, right? Because it absorbs the energy, like a crystal absorbs energy. So there's different ways of doing it. But yeah, you can do it with food. But as with anything, you never eat that food again. So you could take an apple, a pear, a banana, and you can program it to absorb disease congested energy in wherever, and you'll notice it dies super, super fast. Because it's going. Yeah. So don't don't let animals eat it, because I know many stories of people who use certain food or certain items, right, that were edible, program them, and then bury them in the ground, and then their little dogs were getting all worked up and squirrely. They dug up the food, they dug up the item, they ate it, and became super sick. So make sure you get rid of these things. Or you just put it in a salt bowl and dump it down the toilet. Next question. What is the purpose of the Great Invocation? Obviously, that's a pretty big question, but we can summarize it. So the Great Invocation was given to Alice Bailey by Holy Master DK in the 1920s/30s. And it's under the Lucis Trust. And basically, as I understand it, as a disciple, our responsibility is to practice the Great Invocation every morning and every evening. Every morning and every evening. And basically what you're doing with the Great Invocation is impregnating the planet and all sentient beings connected to the planet with divine light, divine love, and divine power. It's anchoring the energy into the planet through the will aspect, right? So if you notice, in Pranic Healing and Arhatic Yoga for the past 25 plus years, every full moon meditation, the masters will lead a lecture, the Twin Hearts meditation, and then finish it off with 4 cycles of the Great Invocation, which takes 7 or so minutes, with the purpose of taking the excess energy from the full moon and using it to channel the divine light, divine love, and divine power into Mother Earth. Because the reason we suffer is because of what? Lack of soul contact. So when you connect to the soul and the souls of all sentient beings, and then you impregnate the energy into the earth, it raises the vibration of the entire planet, which alleviates suffering. So it's an extremely potent form of service. And the Lucis Trust, who holds, quote unquote, the rights to the Great Invocation, they recommend you getting two people to do it with. So you have one person in Nevada, you have another person in Maine, and you have another person in Egypt. And the 3 of you agree that every day at this time of the day, you sit down and you connect energetically, and then you do the Great Invocation together, because it amplifies the energy and it's utilizing light, love, and power in 3s, right? That's why the Trinity, that's where the Trinity comes from, triangles, etc. It's the light, love, and power aspects of the soul. So it's extremely, extremely, extremely powerful and transformative. And there are higher levels of teachings that Master Hector, one of the Master Pranic Healers, teaches on how to up the energy that can be generated for the Great Invocation, of the Great Invocation for the planet. But it helps develop your clairvoyance. It helps develop your healing ability. You can use it to increase the prosperity, abundance, and success of a business venture, right? You just imagine the business venture in front of you, or your current business, and then you bless it with light, love, and power. And it infuses that energy into your business, making it successful, right? Because the reason something fails or dies is because it's lacking one or more of the qualities of the soul. Primarily love, because what does love do? Protects, provides, and preserves. So if you're like, I can't seem to get this thing off the ground, it's lacking energy. It's lacking cohesiveness, keeping it together. But yeah, again, as a disciple, it's recommended every morning and every evening to practice the Great Invocation, which typically takes about 2 minutes if you do it properly. It could take you less, but if you do it properly, it takes you about 2 minutes to practice one cycle. Can you tell if someone has a shield? So I'm assuming the question is if I can tell. Yes. So there's a couple ways to tell. Number one, you can scan somebody's energy body. A shield has a certain feeling to it, but there are different kinds of shields. There's shields to protect your physical body. There's shields to protect your emotional body. There's shields to protect your mental body. There's shields to protect your causal body from certain influences, right? So it depends. People have this assumption that a good clairvoyant can see everything all the time, no matter what. Clairvoyance is based on intention. So the person has to intend to look for something, right? So if somebody says, if somebody has cancer of the liver and they're trying to quote unquote test the clairvoyant, and if the clairvoyant's not looking for that, it's going to be harder for them to find it. So then a clairvoyant would just generally look at the person, get a general sense, and they go, huh, general, their energy is like this, but there's this darkness around their liver. And then they could look deeper into the liver. But if the person just says, hey, I think I have cancer of the liver, or I do have cancer of the liver, what do you see? And then the clairvoyant can look. It would be like going to a doctor and having the doctor guess what you have. You see how it would be a little bit more challenging for the doctor? Like you have severe lower back pain, but you're like, I'm not going to tell him. I'm just going to see if you can figure it out. Right? So then he has to go through a much, much longer process to come up with what the ailment or condition is, and then what the, how to help with that condition or ailment. So usually when you work with healers, just say, hey, can you look into this specifically? I'm having a lot of congestion in my throat. What do you see? And then they can look. So you can look to see if somebody has a shield, and you also scan to see if somebody has a shield. And it's interesting because if the will of the person is stronger than the will of the person who created the shield, that person's will can destroy the shield. Right? So if I created a shield that was really strong, and then one of the masters wanted to break that shield because their will is stronger than mine, they could break the shield. Not that they would really have a purpose to do it, but just to give you an idea. Because what keeps the shield strong is your will and your non-attachment. Let me rephrase that. Your will and your confidence. So meaning if you have strong will and you create a shield, but you doubt that the shield is strong, the shield will be weak. It will break. It'll break because of your lack of faith, lack of trust, lack of confidence, right? But if you have strong will and you know the shield is there and it's protecting you at all times, so it is. Okay. Next question. Does social media get congested with dirty energy? Absolutely. Unequivocally. So if you have a business that has social media, the social media gets dirty and congested, and then it congests your business. If you have a lot of pictures of you online, a lot of videos of you online, a lot of whatever of you online, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, that gets congested because of people's unconscious or conscious negative thoughts, feelings, and actions. So it congests. So when your social media is congested, it's congesting you. That's why I don't recommend people go online and have a pity party or go online and dump their psychic garbage online, because one, that's what people connect to you that way, right? They connect you negatively, and then you're also psychically dumping on them, which I don't recommend. So does that mean you can never share the not so positive things in your life? No, but be careful of who you share things with, right? So if you're always talking about money problems online, people are going to start projecting that onto you. Now they're creating thought forms within your aura. If you keep talking about your inability to find the lover, right? Then they're going to be energizing that, implanting that into your aura, right? So it's not about being Pollyanna, or not about represent, like, how do I put this? If you look at the masters who post, it's always positive things, but it's not a front. That is their actual life. That is the existence. Now, do they have challenges? Of course, they're human beings. But are they posting those challenges online? No, because it's not necessary. Because they're about putting good things in the world. And by putting good things in the world, good things come back. Does that make sense? I love to travel, and I want to magnify that within my life. So I share travel pictures and travel videos, and then that energy comes back to me, right? So it inspires other people to get off their asses and do some fun things, right? It inspires me. What is the best way to clean or disconnect that energy from social media, and how often should you do it? Daily for most people. So you know how we have cords, right? We have a cord from us to other people. We also have a cord from us to our social media. So you, with intention, disconnect, disconnect, disconnect. Same thing with our phone. There's a cord from us to our phone, right? That's draining energy from us. So we cut, 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 disconnect regularly. It's actually really funny to see people that have social media addiction or app addiction or cell phone addiction, and you cut the cord between them and their phone. You can see them visibly breathe deeper and not feel so agitated. I was doing that with a person who actually was a self-proclaimed social media addict, and I was like, huh, okay. And she goes, I can barely like not reach for my phone right now. And I was like, oh, okay, great. Talking a little bit spiritual things, and then as I'm talking, I'm cutting the cords between her and her phone multiple times because they keep reconnecting. And then we did twin hearts and a little bit more cutting. And I was like, how are you feeling? And she's, I feel great. I feel light. I feel this. I feel that. And I go, any thoughts and feelings about your phone? Completely forgot it. Right? Completely forgot that she had any connection to her phone. Why? Because the cord was cut. It was severed. Bye-bye. Right? So that's a big thing to be aware of. People cord to you through your social media. And how people think and feel about you is the kind of energy that comes from you to them. Meaning, if I think you're a loser and I cord to you that way, the energy that comes back to me is that, right? If I'm really angry at you for something, I cord to you a cord of anger, and what comes through that cord is the energy within, the anger energy within you coming back to me. But if I cord to you lovingly, or I cord to you friendly, or I cord to you joyfully or blissfully or whatever, then the energy that comes back to me is that. So it deals with awareness of how am I connecting to this person. Okay. Next question. The Psychic Self Defense book suggests using smoky quartz, black tourmaline, or dark green tourmaline. Which is better? It depends. The darker something is, the more it absorbs. So why dark green tourmaline? Because green is what? Breaks up. So you have something that's dark, it's absorbing, and then the green that's in it breaks up the congestion. So what you do is with those big pieces, big smoky quartz, big green tourmaline, black tourmaline, is you program it and you put it in salt water, typically outside of your house, like in the backyard or something like that. And then it's constantly sucking energy from wherever you program it to suck energy from, and then it's getting into the salt water. And then you just dump out the salt water every few days, depending upon how diseased, congested your environment is. And that will keep your place clean all the time. So typically the darker, the better. So smoky quartz is good, right? That's better to program than say, than onyx, but onyx is darker, right? But I would stick with something like black tourmaline. Because I think black, dark green tourmaline, I think is harder to find, right? So if it's easier to find, it's less expensive. Let's not make it complicated. It's like people that say, should I take my salt bath with pink Himalayan salt? No, it's too expensive. It's like 10 times or more expensive than just good old fashioned table salt, right? So if you're, and also people always want to get something that looks pretty. If it's absorbing energy, the uglier the better, right? You don't want to become attached to it. You don't want to be like, oh my God, it's such a beautiful rose quartz ball. Look how magnificent. No, you want it to be ugly and stupid looking. So it just absorbs, right? It's not for show. It's not for people to connect to. Definitely not for people to connect to. Okay. Can anything be energetically scanned? So in pranic healing, the first weekend, level 1 class, you're taught how to scan or feel energy. What are you scanning with? Your palm chakra. So in the center of your hand, you have a chakra known as the palm chakra. And then on the tips of your fingers, you have mini chakras. So this is a minor chakra. These are mini chakras. And interestingly enough, a higher level of teaching, each one of the fingers represents different energy. It's connected to the elements as a hint. So when you're scanning with your finger and you feel something becoming more activated or depleted, it's connected to the elements. Aha, bet you didn't know that. Okay, so again, palm chakra, the tips of your fingers, mini chakras. Inside your ears, mini chakras. Below your ears, jaw minor chakras. Right? Your liver has mini chakras. So there's mini chakras, minor chakras, major chakras. Right? So it depends. So the question is, can anything be scanned? It depends. Depends on what? The effectiveness of the scanner, and 2, the karma. You guys didn't probably know this. You have to be karmically entitled to know certain things through scanning and or clairvoyance and or clairaudience. Aha, another level of truth, right? So if I ask you the question, does the Loch Ness Monster exist? You could scan it, but you may not be karmically entitled to know. Where are the major cities that, what was the major path that Lord Jesus followed from the ages of 12 to 33? You may not be karmically entitled to know. So Rudolf Steiner, who is the founder of anthropomorphy, I'm not saying that right, I'm trying to, right? Just look up Rudolf Steiner. He was an Austrian mystic, great teacher. Great teacher. One of my mentors says he's on the same level as Master Choa as a teacher, right? Like teaching. And he wrote a book about the lost years of Jesus. He was karmically entitled. I have a black tourmaline after programming. Get after it, girl. So he was a teacher of such development that he was able to access. So you've heard of the term Akashic Records, which basically is like everything that's been happening within the sphere of the planet Earth from inception to future, but there is no future, it's now. That's the Akashic Records. You have to be karmically entitled to access that. A lot of his books are on audio on YouTube, correct? Does that make sense? So yes, you might be able to scan, you can scan anything, but you might not be karmically entitled to know the higher levels of truth, right? Because scanning is about discernment. That's why we use scanning to discern things. Like, the person has lower back pain. Well, is it the Meng Main? Is it the spine? Is it the back head chakra? Is it Kundalini syndrome? Right? So we're scanning for all the different factors we're using energetic discernment. Make sense? So anything can be scanned because everything is energy. And what increases your ability to be accurate with your scanning is the activation of your heart, because what does the heart deal with? Sensitivity and awareness, right? And you also have to have clear intention. So when you wander, when you're not quite sure what you're scanning, your reading won't be as accurate. And also you can scan many different things in many different ways. So for instance, I could scan fear in your solar plexus chakra. So I have the intention, fear in the solar plexus chakra, and then I'd be aware, and the energy comes to me. You guys are, what's going on with you guys? Or I could scan for lack of courage. Different energy. You're like, no, that's the same. No, it's not. Different. Sounds the same, but that will tell me something because it's practicing what? Discernment. So I could scan for fear, or lack of courage, or courage. I could scan for poverty consciousness. I could scan for lack of prosperity, or I could scan for prosperity. And I could scan that in the aura. I could scan that in the different bodies. I could scan that in the different chakras to locate what's going on with this person. Why are they so squirrely? That's why even if you're not sensitive, even if you don't know how to scan, but if you understand the property of the chakras, you can still get to the answer pretty quickly. Okay? So yes, anything can be scanned, but if you're going to be accurate with it, that depends on many factors. Your effectiveness as a scanner and your karmic entitlement as a scanner. How do you increase your karmic entitlement? You practice honesty and you heal lots of people. You guys get that, right? If you want to increase your karmic entitlement to knowing things, you have to heal lots and lots of people. Next question, how many classes are there in pranic healing? Very good question. There's over 20 classes. There's over 20 classes in pranic healing that deal with pretty much any area of life. So you have Arhatic Prep, and then all the way till, I think they only teach up till 6. So Arhatic Yoga Prep, and then Arhatic Yoga level 6. So basically you're looking at about 15 years to go from prep to level 6. That's 15 years of diligent practice. That's not just like, yeah, I meditate when I feel like it. I do healing when I feel like it. I do service when I feel like it. I tithe when I feel. No, it's like you're OG. You're like all in, right? You're looking at about 15 years. A class that people have always been fascinated with is Arhatic Sexual Alchemy. That class takes about 6 years to prepare for. So if you're brand new to pranic healing, you're like, I want to take that class. You're looking at about 6 years because they keep increasing the requirements because it's a very powerful class. So if your virtue is not developed enough, you're going to have an issue with falling, spiritual pride. Next question. What are the differences between the different kingdoms on this planet? All right. So keeping it simple, you have the mineral kingdom, right? You have the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human kingdom, and the angelic kingdom. Keeping it simple. The mineral kingdom has no emotional body, no mental body. That's why you can influence them. That's why you can program crystals, tell them what to do. They have no intelligence or will, so they can't resist. The plant kingdom has an emotional body, but no mental body. So plants respond to emotions. They have an emotional body, no mental body. The animal kingdom, generally speaking, has an emotional body and has a underdeveloped mental body. Some stupid animals, right? Underdeveloped mental body. The human kingdom has all the bodies activated, but not developed. So like our higher mental bodies are not developed for most human beings on the planet, and the causal body is not developed for almost everyone on the planet. And then the angelic kingdom, they have different responsibilities with no bodies. As I understand it, angels never had bodies. They've always been energy. So that's why humans are the intermediaries between the higher worlds and the lower worlds. That's why we're quote unquote very important for the divine plan. We're the intermediaries between the lower energies and the higher energies. Because the great ones provide us energy by constantly radiating light, love, and power, but we have to materialize it through our physical bodies, our emotional bodies, and our mental bodies. So they can give us inspiration, but because we have free will, we can choose to act on that inspiration or not. I hope that makes sense. That's a simple thing on the kingdoms. And then a bonus question. Bonus question. What is a yuga? What is a yuga? So a yuga is a cosmic cycle. A yuga is a cosmic cycle. And they can be a couple months, couple years, couple decades, couple eons. If I'm not mistaken, a day in the life of Brahman, a day in the life of the power of Brahman is 3 trillion, roughly, I like how it's roughly, is 3 trillion years. A day in the life of the supreme God is 3 trillion years. When we were at one of the Arhatic Yoga retreats in Bovina, New York, there was a really amazing breakdown that shows the yugas, like from a day in the life of the supreme being, and then broken down of the different yugas or different cycles. This is actually quite fascinating. You could spend all day just studying that that book. I'd have to find it. It's really, really good. So we're locked out of the library, still within the library. So you guys are great. There's a joke, for some of you may not have heard this one. There's a joke that whenever Master Glenn and Master Mary get together, husband and wife team, and Master Glenn, he likes the cosmic world. He likes the yugas. It gets him super juiced up. And whenever he starts talking about the yugas in class, Master Mary pretty much rolls her eyes and then checks out of the conversation and or leaves, because she knows he's just going to be talking about these ginormous cosmic cycles that are cool to understand. And when you start focusing on God and astronomy, which is one of his passions, the forehead chakra becomes super activated, right? And the crown too, but the forehead also becomes very activated. So he loves that stuff. But again, what do we specialize within this group? Practical spirituality. So great, a 250,000 year cycle, amazing, phenomenal, wonderful. 3.3 trillion year cycle. Okay, great. Now what? Right? How's that going to help with the bills next week? How's that going to help with the inner peace with the person I just had a fight with? How's that going to help with, right? I have a test I have to take next week and I got to pass it, or I'm out of my ass, right? So that's practical spirituality. So that's the realm that we like to focus in. Yes, in other schools and other off times, you can go to the cosmic cycles and the yugas, but in this group, we try to keep it as practical as possible. Practical in the sense of like using this day, not something that you use 5 years from now, but right today, right? Okay. We ended a little bit earlier than usual, but it's always supposed to be an hour and we always go over. Thanks a lot, Indiana. Always making us go over. Exactly. So Indiana's talking about a 2,500 year. The cycles are about 2,200 years for us to get to the golden age, going through the zodiac, the signs of the zodiac. So each of those cycles, you have 12,000 years up, 12,000 years down. So it's 12,000 years to get to the golden age. So we're in the process of going up, and then we go down, which is the dark ages. So the golden ages, the dark ages. We get closer to the spiritual teacher, we get further from the spiritual teacher. That's why when you're in the presence of a great teacher, super complex things become easily understandable. So a good coach who's developed can help the person have understanding that they couldn't get on their own. Because that, hopefully, that coach is connected to light. But if the coach starts to have a what? Spiritual fall, if the healer, if the teacher starts to have a spiritual fall, there's less and less light, less and less light, less and less light. And then the people that surround themselves with that person will also be clouded. Make sense? So you always get the teacher you're karmically entitled to get. So if you're an advanced soul with a big mission, you'll be given great teachers, great guides, great mentors. But if you're just a screw up that is all about me, myself, and I, you're going to get those kinds of teachers. Now, is that a bad thing? On the lower level of truth, it is. But on the higher level of truth, you got that bad teacher to neutralize some ancient negative karma, practice forgiveness, practice gratitude, and then move forward knowing the right thing to do or not do. So even the difficult, not so good teachers in our lives help us grow, help us evolve. But what do people most of the time do? They get angry at that person. I was taken advantage of. I sold my house for that person. I gave away all my money for that person. I gave up my chastity for that person. I gave up my self-esteem for that person, blah, 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 right? So they stay angry for 10, 20, 30, 40 years or until they leave the body. So what good was that? So the faster you can forgive, faster you can be grateful, the faster you can have compassion, the faster you move forward, right? Very, very important. So I hope that helps. And I'm so proud that I get to upload this right now instead of waiting, oh, I don't know, some other period of time to upload it. So thank you again for your questions. If I've missed any of your questions in an email or Facebook message, my apologies. I found someone's questions today that I integrated into this that was giving like 3 weeks ago. So my apologies. Didn't see it. But again, the best way to get a hold of me, Facebook Messenger for questions or email for questions. Someone keeps sending me questions on WhatsApp. You know who you are. You know who you are. I know you're listening to this. No one in this group, but send me messages either through Facebook Messenger or through email, christianrlong@gmail.com. Okay. And let us close. Be aware of the heart. Be aware of the crown. Be aware of the heart and the crown together. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, respected and beloved teacher, Grandmaster Choa Kuk Sui, Lord Mahaguru Jmeling, the Lord Buddha Kuan Yin, the Lord Ganesh, the Holy Master Count Saint Germain, to Saraswati, all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, healing ministers, to our divine selves, our higher souls. We thank you all for your great, great blessings, for your transformative healing energies. Thank you for helping us become better people, better souls. We thank you with gratitude, respect, and the deepest of love. We thank you in full faith. So be it, and so it is. Thank you. All right. Lots of love to each and every one of you. Also, to answer Beth's question, because it came again in the closing about social media, the other way to clean it is just see your social media as like a ball, right? And you just use brilliant electric violet light, remove negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative energies, congestion, negative thoughts, right? God, it's heavy. Yeah, you just do that. And then you do what? Bless it with gold, pink and gold. So you cut, disconnect, disconnect, right? Sweep, sweep, sweep. Pranic Healing 101. Actually, this is Pranic Healing 301 because it's psychotherapy, right? That's why I can't get too much in the technique. And then you just bless it with pink and gold. So I hope that helps. Okay. Lots of love to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will talk to you on Sunday. Bye. Bye.